Well, welcome to the Philip K. Dick news and reviews from all over the world, where we bring you the latest in data on Philip K. Dick, science fiction and science. So, thank you for joining me today. This is our third installment. We're getting better and better every week. Um, First and foremost, I want to remind you guys that we're doing a Philip K. Dick Film Festival October 27th and October 28th in Lille, France. For those who are in the area, let us know and shoot us an email, and we'll be more than happy to put you on the guest list. Uh, this will take place about 100 miles north of Paris. So, for those who are not familiar, Lille is a beautiful town. It's actually a great place to really do a festival. So, we're very privileged to be doing it on for our eighth season. So, thank you again for being part of this. The other news related to our festival is that, as you know, we're doing a Philip K. Dick Film Festival in February of 2024. And right now, we're still taking submissions. Our programmers are still taking submissions for films. And we're looking for features, documentaries, new media, virtual reality, panels, screenplays, anything related to science, science fiction, and ultimately Philip K. Dick. So, we definitely look forward to receiving your submissions as filmmakers. Now, if you also want to know about our upcoming events this year and next year regarding Philip K. Dick Festival, you can subscribe to our mailing list, and it's PKD mailing at gmail.com. It's PKD mailing at gmail.com. That's the best way to stay in touch of what we're doing from week to week. And also, it's a good way for us to really expand our list. Lastly, if you just joined us, please make sure you click the like button if you're on Facebook, or subscribe if you're on our YouTube channel. Okay, great. All right, so for the first news of the week, we got some interesting news here on Philip K. Dick, which is very rare. We generally spread them out over a couple of months. But as it turns out, we have some interesting information that I want to share with you guys. So give me 1 second, and I'll find this thing for you right now. Okay. Um, Well, this is taking everybody by surprise, but it turns out that Netflix has a an exclusive right now on the three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch. And for a lot of PKD fans, this is their favorite uh, novel. Now, according to a tip off from Film Stories, they did a search on the US Copyrights Office records and discovered that Netflix Entertainment, LLC, completed a short form option agreement with the late author's estate, meaning it now has the rights to adapt the three stigmata of Palmer Eldritch into a television show, film, or some other kind of production. Now, I'm hoping that they do justice to this amazing novel. Too often, a lot of streamers and networks run and they really butcher up. I'm hoping that Netflix realizes that we're dealing with really a prized property and a loved novel for a lot of the Philip K. Dick fans. So that's but let's stay. We'll keep you in touch regarding announcements and who will be directing it, if and when this is going to happen. As I mentioned just now, this is strictly a an option, which means they have a certain amount of time to actually go ahead and make the film and put it into production. Okay, let's move on. This same week, it turns out that uh, the Philip K. Dick Minority Report is to get a UK stage adaptation. This has been reported uh, by the Hollywood Reporter. They're going to be playing, the play will be an adaptation which comes from actor writer David Haig. He will make its premiere in the UK early 2024. As you might remember, uh, the Minority Report starred Tom Cruise and it was directed by Steven Spielberg. So this is going to be a stage adaptation. This is actually interesting that we're doing more stage adaptations of Philip K. Dick's work. As we reported last week, there is actually a stage theatrical adaptation of Valis as well, taking place in the UK. Uh, Once those move to the US, we'll definitely keep you posted on where to watch them and also how to participate. But this is interesting. At least Philip K. Dick is its original works are getting seen not only by the film world but also being considered by the theatrical world. Again, for those who just joined us, there is an adaptation of Philip K. Dick's work being taken. Minority Report is gonna will be getting a UK stage adaptation in early 2024. So definitely make sure that you are stay in touch with us and let us know what you think. If this is something that really is something that you want to really be part of. Uh, and as soon as it reaches New York City, we'll definitely make sure that we'll be in touch with the producers to make sure we'll bring an adaptation to New York City as well. Okay, on to the third film feature story of the week. It really does seem like the creator is catching up a lot of steam. Everywhere I read now, getting some good reviews from the film. Is often not. It's often the case where films of this nature really get a very sloppy approach to how AI impacts our humanity. And one of the reasons we're picking the creator is unlike a lot of sci-fi films, the creator really tries to create a plausible relationship that exists between man and AI. So the film basically stars is an a Gareth Edwards production. It according to Vulture. Uh, to make a movie in which artificial intelligent characters are the disenfranchised minority is certainly a choice at a time when people are battling to prevent corporations from turning their work into grist for the generative mill and replacing them with digital substitutes. The creator, but it doesn't take long for the creator, a shockingly good new movie from Gareth Edwards to establish its AI framing. Is just debate. Joshua John David Washington, whom you might remember from Tenet, is just is a basically plays a former special forces operative who is embittered and grief stricken after an undercover operation gone wrong. Is now living near what used to be Los Angeles. Again, we're looking for those PKD reminiscent qualities, kind of a post-industrial world or post-apocalyptic world. Um, so here we are. I think it is a film that really is runs on the same wavelength as some of the PKD stories like Blade Runner or Androids. So so definitely, I would say this is a film to look out for. I mean, in the beginning, a lot of films such as the creator might get publicity, but then word of mouth kind of kills them. But it turns out a lot of people really like it. Some, at the very least, agree that the visuals are stunning, the story is good for what it is, what it's pretending to be. So definitely stay put on the creator because it's. I think you're going to get see more and more good things from that film coming up. Okay, so what we're doing now, we're gonna be moving on to. Um, 1 second here. Okay. Okay, so we are moving on to the science news for the day. Um, the first one that I kind of struck my attention uh, is a. Give me 1 second here. Okay, got it. Well, it looks like the laws of physics may be different, which explains why we exist. Now, The laws of physics, and this is according to news from UFLEDU, the laws of physics must have been different at the start of the universe. And they are now, according to a mind bending study conducted by University of Florida astronomers, which provide clues as to why stars, planets, and life itself managed to form in the universe. The findings made possible in part by the UF supercomputer HIP Gator chip away explain perhaps the biggest question in cosmology. Why does anything exist? That's because some kind of handedness at the earliest moments of creation is necessary to explain why the universe is made out of matter, the stuff that makes everything we see. Well, this begs the question is exactly is, well, these are not laws, and what are they? If they're not placed arbitrarily, they seem to be relationships, not so much laws. And this goes hand in hand with the latest work by Ian McGilchrist. It suggests that the fundamental property of the universe is not matter or antimatter, but it's a relationship, a kind of a cosmic archetype that also on this thread, a lot of scientists have been exploring the nature of reality, whether we live in a simulation or not. And that includes some people like Neil deGrasse Tyson and Neil Bostrom. Now, the question runs is if we are living in a simulation, well, who's the designer? So I think scientists are not quite ready to move on to the ultimate questions of who we are. Back in the day, science and philosophy were united and they were represented as natural philosophy. But these days, it seems like a lot of people are not so into the philosophical aspects. They're just looking at the physical aspects. But like Philip K. Dick, we need to really start exploring other dimensions besides just physicality and mathematics. I think there are other dimensions such as consciousness are very important in explaining the nature of reality. So move on to our next project here. Um, Reporting from the Drum, a panel of experts predict that the CMOs of the future will need to be futurists to keep up with the hyper-targeted needs of different demographics, but warn they shouldn't forget their loyal customers. Hamza Hayab, Chief Marketing Officer for Switzerland's says, in a world where science fiction is about to become science fact, we can't talk about the next generations, Generation Z and Generation Alpha, but what comes 10 years after them. We're looking at the dawn of a whole new species with AI. Um, Essentially, this is something we've been reporting here at the Philip K. Dick Festival, both in our videos and our festivals, is that science and science fiction are becoming one. Science fiction is becoming science fact, and a day doesn't pass by without us really begin bewildered and mystified by all these developments, whether AI or time travel or artificial or the simulation theory. So this is why Philip K. Dick, possibly more than any other science fiction writer, had the finger on the pulse on what we're going through. And that's why our festival is gaining more and more traction every year. And clearly, a lot of other sci-fi writers whom we also showcase in our festival. But I think Philip K. Dick has a special place here in the pantheon of writers who are looking at how science fiction and technology can coexist. So definitely, we are. This is a very interesting period in time. Now we on to the next, uh, our next program, which is finally also in the physics realm. As part of it, this is reporting by physics.org. It seems like matter and antimatter seem to respond equally well to gravity. Now, for those who are not familiar with antimatter, these are generally particles that have the opposite charge of let's say an electron that has a negative charge. An antimatter electron will be regarded as a positron, and that has a positive charge. And as anyone who's seen Star Trek or even Star Wars, when the two collide, they explode in a basically photons in light. So for a while, scientists were wondering whether or not antimatter would respond to gravity. So as part of an experiment to measure, according to phys.org, to an extremely precise degree, the charge to mass ratios of protons and antiprotons have found that within the uncertainty of the experiment, matter and antimatter respond to gravity in the same way. So that's an interesting situation because most of us, we think of gravity as being basically the action of gravitational or gravitons or the equivalent of gravitons. So this suggests that gravity impacts both matter and antimatter, may also impact the relationship between gravity and electromagnetism. Now, for those who are wondering where am I heading with this, well, I think that the if you're interested in anti-gravity and propulsion systems and star systems, I think this is where we're going to see the next biggest breakthroughs, both in a unification theory between gravity and electromagnetism. Despite the claims of a lot of scientists, we've yet to see anything that's engineerable, unless scientists is unless NASA or the Pentagon is holding something back that we're not aware of. We've yet to develop an anti-gravity system, but sure enough, we'll definitely keep you posted on any developments on that nature. And lastly, we want to start including people that are not just sci-fi writers or directors, but also people who are up and coming writers in this field. So, according to People magazine, we have a just a writer here that's give us 1 second here. Meet Justin C. Keys. He's a science fiction bust about new author. Okay, so here we are looking at Justin, who's written several books that are reminiscent of Theodore Sturgeon and Ray Bradbury. And we'll definitely keep more information on him as we move along. Lastly, for the piece of news of the day, again, some of you might wonder where what this image is all about is people are experiencing new dimensions of reality when dying. Groundbreaking study reports. This is from Vice magazine. Scientists have witnessed brain patterns in dying patients that may correlate to commonly reported NDEs, such as lucid visions, out-of-body sensations, a review of one's life, and other dimensions of reality. Sam Parnia, who's an intensive care doctor and an associate professor in the Department of Medicine at NYU Langone Health, has observed that 567 patients in 25 hospitals around the world as they went on cardiopulmonary resuscitation after suffering cardiac arrest. What the EEG signals capture suggests that episode of a heightened consciousness occurred up to an hour after cardiac arrest. Parnia and his colleagues suggest that the transition from life to death can trigger a state of disinhibition in the brain that appears to facilitate lucid understanding of new dimensions of reality. This includes people's deeper consciousness or memories, thoughts, intentions, actions towards selves and others. So, what a lot of the religions talk about, the life review, may very well take place at that transitional moment between life and death. And for those who are really interested more about it, please look at our more recent video, which we put together here at our PKD program, which has to do with the Schroeder Turin. This was an interview which I conducted with Dr. Andrew Silverman, who studied the Schroeder Turin. He also studied quantum mechanics, quantum consciousness, and also studied near-death experiences. So I think we see more and more connections being made with what's happening to us as we are alive in our next phase after death, which I believe doesn't end, is just another state of consciousness, just like all the studies in remote viewing and indicate. So, but more information, and perhaps let us know if you want us to bring in Sam Parnia, who is a New York native, and I believe he has a book out, and we're more than happy to bring him in and ask him some questions regarding near-death experiences. I do remember Sam Parnia talking a few years ago about how patients not were able to essentially during these states, these post cardiac arrest states, were able to see what was happening the other side of the building. It's almost like the body lifted itself, floated, and it talks about OBEs and near-death experiences may suggest a kind of a larger awareness that we all pretty much carry within ourselves, but it's finally released when we pass on. So finally this brings us to the end of our program, people. Again, thank you all. We only have a couple of shorts and a couple of films every year and every session. So we want to make sure that it's short and sweet. We bring you some data, some information regarding what's happening around the world. Now, for those who are participating in the Philip K. Dick Film Festival, again, thank you. For those who are filmmakers, please send us your. We continue to accept the films here at our festival. The next one is taking place in Lille Festival, Lille, France, October 27th, October 28th. And we're still keeping and receiving submissions for the February 2024 festival. And that's going to be an exciting one. We're really looking at doing some panels, virtual reality installations, screenings, and in addition to an amazing number of features, documentaries, and shorts. So please like this page if you're on Facebook, and subscribe if you are in our YouTube channel. As you all might know, we really we don't have any sponsors, so we rely on your support and word of mouth to get the word out on Philip K. Dick. We hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully to bring in a couple of people who knew Philip K. Dick personally, co-writers of one of his works. So hopefully we'll bring them in. So we'll make this even more exciting. We are actually on an 11th year. Will you believe that? 11th years. We started out in 2012. December 2012 with Radio Free Album Month. So hopefully, with your support, we'll make this a longer lasting festival. So again, thank you all for joining me on the Philip K. Dick News. And I hope to see some of you next week. Please leave comments. Any news you want us to cover, any specific things. We are at a stage where we support and really support our early adopters like yourself. So again, thank you all for coming. Hope to see you next Friday. And in the meantime, stay clear and dry. If you're a New York native, it is a very wet weekend waiting for us. Otherwise, stay well and see you soon. Bye-bye, and you have a good weekend.